Brodes Media.
Hey everyone, a few things before we get started. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We break down Philadelphia sports every single damn day. Also, we take a look around some league-wide coverage as well when warranted. Hit the like button too. It would really mean the world. Lastly, we do give away awesome items every single Wednesday on my Twitter account at Brodes81. This week, a beautiful white snapback 76ers. Oh man, this thing is magnificent. Pinned to the top of the profile at Brodes81. It explains the rules. Do not be a fool. Get entered to win right now. All right, everyone, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. I still can't get over that Game 1 loss where the Atlanta Hawks shot the lights out 23s when they averaged just under 13. So it is ridiculous to think about how many wide open looks they got. And oh, by the way, they drained them as well, whether it was Herter or whether it was Bogdanovich or whether it was Trae Young. I could not stand the defensive rotations and how wide open guys were. It made me sick. It really did, but I just don't know how sustainable that type of shooting really is, where they're going to explode for 40-plus points. And the reason why I feel this way is because when I look at this Sixers team, they are the number one seed for a reason, and they have the answers on their roster. They do. No one's going to shut down Trae Young, just like no one's going to shut down Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid basically had 40 points and lost the game. So you can have a player like Trae Young go off, because I know some are thinking, well, what do you mean the answers are there? How do you stop Trae Young? No one stops Trae Young. You're right. No one stops Joel Embiid either, and they lost the basketball game. Great players are going to get theirs, but it's about limiting them and targeting them and hunting them more on both sides of the floor. So what do I mean by that? Dude, we got to go towards Trae Young. You can't let him camp out in the corner and sit there and gain rest while he's on defense. You got to have him fight. You got to have him fight through screens. You got to have him have mismatches. You need to find a way to operate. Whoever is guarding, or whoever Trae Young is guarding, he needs to be moving around. He has to be active. He has to be using his legs. And then when you get the trap game going defensively on Trae Young, force him to work, and work. Make him use way more energy, because he was relaxing. He was constantly hanging out, gaining all the energy back and waiting to get the basketball so then him and the Atlanta Hawks can start pouncing on offense. And it's embarrassing. And honestly, the more and more I process the Ben Simmons dilemma and the lack of utilizing him against Trae Young, it really is insane. Now, originally, and to a degree I still feel this way, I'm not anti-trying something where it's not Ben Simmons on Trae Young the entire time, but you have to know when to pull the plug. You have to know when you realize this isn't working and we need to try something else out. But Ben Simmons, Doc Rivers literally sits there every day, every single day, and says that we're stupid, the city doesn't know anything about basketball, we don't appreciate all the good things that he does. Why do we only focus on the negative? Seriously, he sits in his chair post-game, gets drilled by the media with very fair questions, may I add, and somehow he sits there and praises Ben over and over and over again about how he's Defensive Player of the Year and he's so amazing. Then why isn't he on Trae Young? Why are you not applying that logic towards this basketball game? And don't tell me that he can't get fouls. If you're a Defensive Player of the Year, don't pick up those fouls. That's something that you know how to do. Work around it. And don't tell me every single foul call on Ben Simmons is nonsense and the referees are calling it a certain way that is not allowing Ben Simmons to play tough defense. You don't need to pick Trae Young up as hard as he is when he does, and he gets himself in the position. He's putting himself in the position for the referees to even call that to begin with. That's on Ben Simmons to adjust and realize that that's no longer going to work, and he can't just continue to do it, or you're going to continue to get the foul calls. Whether they're right or wrong, That's not what I'm bringing up here. What I'm saying is you realize the way the refs are calling it. You can't think that, oh, well, I'm just going to keep playing this way. No, you're going to get in foul trouble, and you're going to have to change. So if you rave and rant about this guy being Defensive Player of the Year, and you're not wrong. He has that versatility. He has that uniqueness to him that he's a stud defensively, and he's wired differently on that side of the floor, and I appreciate that. But why are you afraid of him fouling then if he's that great? Which he is. He is. But why are you so obsessed with having him not pick up these fouls? He's a smart basketball player. He needs to realize and adjust himself internally and recognize I can't keep doing these things. This is what Defensive Player of the Years can do. So put him on Trae then. And I've been on the record, I don't think it's as easy as that. Putting Ben on Trae isn't, all right, Sixers win the next 4. Because other guys are going to start scoring. Other guys are going to get more open. You're going to trap Trae Young, and if they can move the basketball around, they're going to find some open shots. And it's not as simple as that, but it's the start. It's the start. And if someone else starts killing you, you either live with it because you say at least it's not Trae Young, or from there you try something new to slow down whatever opponent starts making their shots and going off, whether it's Bogdanovich, whether it's Herter, whether it's Clint Capella with the lob game. They're going to have to adjust their pick and roll because Joel Embiid, you got to make a choice. You need to pick your poison. And I thought that whether it was John Collins, Clint Capella, or Trae Young reading the pick game perfectly, the pick and roll game perfectly, he'd throw that lob up. We've seen a lot in the drop coverage, and I just feel that you can't continue to do that. You can't continue to do that. And in theory, it's, well, you're forcing Trae Young to shoot a mid-range jumper, and that analytically is not the greatest shot in the world. But when he starts hitting those floaters, and when he starts getting those mid-range shots going, and then you start to address him more, you throw up the lob, you got to do a better job. You can't allow that to happen over and over and over again, or you're going to get toasted. Now, I don't anticipate all the turnovers in the first quarter again and in the first half and allowing 40-plus points in a quarter and allowing 74 points in the first half. I mean, that would be insane considering that this Philadelphia Sixers team, their bread and butter is bringing it on the defense, and then you start generating your offense moving forward. During Coffee with Brodes, someone asked me this question. Jude, actually. I actually wrote down the name. Jude. And I thought it was fascinating. It was about who has the better bench in this series. And, Doc is so absurdly obsessed with going with an all-bench lineup, going with a heavy, heavy bench. It's the playoffs, Doc. It's not game 30 anymore. It's not game 32, 31, 27. It's the second round of the playoffs. Can we stop toying around with 1 minute of Shake Milton? Can we stop toying around with this garbage of going so deep? 8 men. 8 men, maybe 9. 8 men, maybe 9. Why are we doing this, Doc? And if you think about what they have on their bench, and by the way, not having DeAndre Hunter is another force that puts one of their starters from last game back on the bench. When you think about Lou Will, when you think about Gallinari, when you think about Herter, when you think about, moving Hunter back into the rotation and getting him back into his minutes, pushing someone else into the bench role, think about the benches compared to, and this is what is the most eye-popping to me when I think about that. George Hill, nice player who had a really tough game, and he's way better than what he showed you. We know his intangibles and the little things that he brings to this roster, right? Dwight Howard, he's a big man center that logs in minutes when Joel Embiid is off the floor. Sometimes he has a good game. Other times he does not have a good game. And to me, Matisse Thybulle, not much help offensively, although I know he had 2 threes in that last game. I can't rely on Matisse Thybulle to be a scorer. He's a Swiss Army knife defensively, and that's his role. Think about all the other guys that I mentioned for the Hawks, and then think about what I mentioned for the Sixers with their bench players. Think about the difference in versatility offensively. Dwight Howard and Matisse Thybulle are not even offensive players at all. So you have George Hill, who's a nice offensive player, compared to Lou Will, can create himself a bucket. Okay? I guarantee you that he can. Gallinari ends up spacing the floor. Herter spaces the floor. All these players space the floor. Whether Hill goes back to the bench, these guys create and can help you out in so in so many ways and in so much power offensively, while the Sixers, your 8-man rotation that I want to see, you have one guy in George Hill that can provide something that is reliable on more of a consistent basis offensively than the other guys. It's a no-brainer to me, and that's why when you see that 17-0 run, in what universe do you seriously see that go on? And it's, okay, that's fine. You're sitting on the bench analyzing that happening, and you truly believe that that's okay and we'll be all right if we continue down this path. It really is bonkers. And someone asked me, Brodes, why do you feel so heavily about Doc Rivers, or why are your emotions so heavy about Doc Rivers? And it wasn't that same way with Brett Brown coaching-wise. And I'll tell you the difference. The Brett Brown Sixers were never ready to seriously win. They were never a number 1 seed, and it wasn't because Brett Brown sucked and Brett Brown was the worst and Brett Brown knew nothing. No, the players weren't ready. And then the year they had Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris, everything got thrown together, and they said, oh, yeah, you have about a month to figure this out. Go play. I mean, it just doesn't work that way. Ben Simmons was still a problem in the half-court sets. Joel Embiid was not an MVP caliber player. Players were not ready to succeed, and whether they had great talent on their roster or they didn't, it just didn't flow. They did not have the right puzzle pieces together. There's significantly less talent on this roster in terms of individual talent, but the team flows better, and they just have better X and O strategy-wise because their roster makes sense with spacing and with shooters, and there was actually something to it. So the reason why I don't feel as strongly is because the Sixers did not have the answers fully for some of those playoff runs. And I know the quadruple doink was what it was, but they were going to Greg Monroe, Amir Johnson, James Ennis. Seriously, these are your actual bench options. TJ McConnell coming off the bench, and by the way, had to be an actual game changer. He won you a playoff game when Ben Simmons could not run the point position, and you needed an actual point guard to run the floor. That won you a playoff game. That was the best the offense ran against the Boston Celtics because of Ben Simmons. Now, this team proved they were the number 1 seed. They proved they were the better team. They proved that they have what it takes. They proved all season long that they are fantastic and an NBA championship caliber team. I did not see the other teams previously over the last 4 years as ready to go championship caliber NBA title type teams. And it wasn't because of the coach. It was because of roster construction, stars being young, stars still learning, stars experiencing playoff runs. So now that we're in this spot, and it seriously is championship time because it is and it should be, now it's a little bit more critical when you make the poor decisions because the answers are there now. I don't necessarily believe that the answers were fully there. That doesn't mean Brett Brown did a great job. I'm not saying Brett Brown did a great job. I'm just saying maybe he could have did better here and there minorly. NBA championship-wise, the answers were not there. So that's why I feel the frustration that I do more towards the coach, because I never, ever, ever, ever blame coach over players. Ever, ever. Game 1 was the first time I did it in a billion years because I just analyzed what Doc did, and it was boneheaded decision after boneheaded decision after boneheaded decision, and it was pretty crazy to see, to be honest with you, although I guess you can make the argument that he's known to be that playoff coach that has failed for a reason, and it is probably because of these type of moments. All right, so Ben Simmons. Getting back to Ben. Yeah, I hate to do this, but I truly do believe. Hold on, I need a sip of water here. My mouth's killing me. My mouth's dry. I was outside all day. It's so damn hot, by the way. So damn hot. It's ridiculous out there. I'm watering the plants out front. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm walking the dog. My mouth is dry as can be. So give me one sec. All right, so I hate to do this, but when I watch Trae Young play, I seriously do wonder what basketball would be like with a standard point guard. I really do. And I am I say this every time. It's like every time I bash Ben, I have to respond with, I'm a big Ben Simmons fan. I'm a fan of his game. I like what he does. But, man, I'll tell you what, watching 2021 basketball and being brainwashed over the last handful of years that, this is going to work, I just wonder if I'm snapping out of the brainwash because what Trae Young does, what Damian Lillard does, what these players do, it's special. Now, the argument could be, well, Damian Lillard doesn't win a damn thing. Well, that's not because Damian Lillard is not good enough to carry a team. His team's just not properly constructed around him. He needs more help. Only a man can take you so far. If you think Damian Lillard's style of play is the reason why the Trailblazers can't get the goal accomplished, well, that's just asinine, right? It's not even close to being reality of the situation. I'm watching point guards, Chris Paul. I'm just watching guys who shoot the damn basketball all around the league, and our fascination with Tyrese Maxey, though he did not have a good game one, just in general, like our fascination in years past of Alec Burks. We foamed out of our mouths about Alec Burks like he was the next coming of Michael Jordan because he could create off the bounce, he could dribble the basketball, and he could shoot, and he can create his own damn shot. We don't see that. And we are one of the only teams, even the horrendous teams in the league have players that can do it. I watched Trae Young, I'm thinking, wow, what would basketball be like if our point guard did that? And I also watch him miss his free throws. And it really is a problem. Like, it can't get overlooked. I don't know if I heard it get stressed enough about the Ben Simmons debacle and drama of his free throws. It's terrible. It's actually so bad that I'm seriously now looking at his free throws as the possibility of losing a series. Not only the spacing and the things of that nature down the stretch of the half court sets when it's 2 minutes to go, when it's a close game. I'm not even talking about that specifically. But now I'm talking about just in general, man. These coaches are going to foul him. They're going to be okay with fouling him. You leave so many points on the board constantly. Dude, if I'm the other side, hey, if Ben's even close, foul his ass because he's not making them. 1 point, I'll take it all day long. While Doc's going, hey, I'll take 1 point all day long. Yeah, we'll see how that one works out, Doc. The free throws is an embarrassment, and I really don't think. I heard a lot about this game all over sports media today, and I truly think the Ben Simmons not making his free throws is sliding under the radar as if we should know that by now, and we should be okay with that by now. Be okay with it? In what universe should I be okay with that slop? 0 for 2, 0 for 2, 1 of 2. That's garbage! Garbage! It's garbage! Now, with all this being said, with all this frustration coming out, which is crazy because I feel I'm more fired up today than I was after the game. After the game, I'm all calm because now I'm pouring out my frustration. I don't know where it came. With all this being said, though, I still think the Sixers are going to win this series. I think the Sixers are fine. I'm afraid of the Ben Simmons free throws as you talk about a series down the road, an Eastern Conference Finals, a Brooklyn Nets team. They still have the answers to beat the Atlanta Hawks. They have the answers to beat this team with adjustments. And it starts on the defensive side of the floor, and it starts with matching the hard effort that the Atlanta Hawks started the game out with. I don't know if the Sixers overlooked their opponent or thought that they were some scrub team or realized that we had Joel Embiid so we would be just fine. I don't know what it was. But the Hawks came out, and they came out flying. They made all their shots. They went up big. At one point, it's 20-plus point game, and they were in cruise control, and the Sixers were looking around as if they had no idea what just happened. What just happened to us? In what universe did that seriously just happen? And they tried to dig themselves out of it. They did the best that they could, and you watched the team call their last timeout. You watched them get a turnover because they couldn't inbound the ball. All those little things matter, and they will come back to bite this Hawks team. Just the inexperience will make them lose this series. I truly do believe that. And that happens not just because they're shooting themselves in the foot. It's because the Sixers are such a talented team with experience that it will then cause them to make those mistakes. So it's not just because the Hawks haven't been through those moments before, but it's also the Sixers applying the pressure and their skill set as the number one overall seed in the Eastern Conference then forces that to somewhat happen. It's the cause and the effect, and I think they'll be good long term. Although if you look at the betting numbers and you look at the numbers to win the series, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. No, not my email. I believe I saw this on Crossing Broad. So let's go to Crossing Broad's Twitter page right now. And if you go to the betting odds for the, where are we here? Nope, hold on. I saw it. Here you go. This is according to 5 hours ago on DraftKings Sportsbook. Series winner odds update. Sixers are minus 110. The Hawks are minus 110. Now, I truly believe in Vegas. Vegas knows a lot. Vegas knows a lot more than we do, and there's a reason why they win a lot of money. That would actually go against my mentality of the Sixers are going to handle business and be fine moving forward. That tells you the Hawks have just as much of a chance as the Sixers do, and I'm not there yet. I normally believe a lot of what Vegas puts out there and a lot of what they have to offer. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, although there could be an Embiid factor in there. Maybe they anticipate the knee issue moving forward and the swelling of the knee and all of that being in play, which can maybe take him out on the road. In Game 3, he doesn't play. Game 4, he doesn't play. Maybe they're trying to put that into perspective, which matters too. I mean, at the end of the day, if you lost the series and Joel Embiid couldn't play all of the games, it doesn't matter. It's not like, oh, well, who cares? It's only because Embiid didn't play. No, we'd be pissed off and we'd be disgusted. So it doesn't matter how it happens if you lost the series. It just matters that it happened. It's just telling, that's all. And speaking of DraftKings Sportsbook is not only my favorite sportsbook, but also America's top-rated sportsbook. I love using DraftKings Sportsbook. It is easy to navigate, has plenty of instructions for new bettors, and nearly limitless ways to get in on all the action. My friends and family have been loving DraftKings Sportsbook, and I know you will too. Listen to this great offer. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on the basketball team of your choice to win their next game, and if they do, you will claim $100 in free credits. That's promo code Brodes for a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only, wager paid out inside credits, restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino, see DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. It's actually crazy, though, if you look at how many points the Sixers scored in that fourth quarter. They scored a total of 41 points. Now, 42 points in the first quarter that they allowed is absurd, right? It's unacceptable, and it can't happen. Scoring 41 points in the fourth quarter of a playoff game is just unheard of. It's just unheard of. And so is the usage of Ben Simmons, and so is Ben Simmons in general. And as you could tell, it just irritates me. It really does. You know, if he's not utilized on one of the best defenders, or if he's not utilized as one of the best defenders on your team, what is he doing? What is he doing? So come on, Doc. There does need to be a change. I was okay with trying something. It was once you recognize the answer that you tried, it was wrong. It was the wrong answer. Go to something else. And if you're not using Ben Simmons on a player like Trae Young, which he might struggle due to the speed, I don't know what you're doing. All you do is cry to us as a fan base that we don't know how special he is. He's a special talent. Well, he's a special talent that went 3 of 10 from the free throw line. And oh, by the way, defensively, you didn't even use your special talent the best way you possibly could. So I'm just a little lost. And I don't know where this Ben slander came from today. I did not plan coming in here just ripping apart Ben. It naturally went that way, but I don't think that that's unfair. I think everything I said was a fair assessment, and I stick to it. He pisses me off, just like a lot of things in my life piss me off. Damn it. All right, let's go to the Anytime Hotline. Let's hear from the people. Here we go.
Yeah, what's up, bro? 76ers for life. Win or lose, 76ers for life. Oh, we lost game one, and I was upset about it, but I'm not going to overreact like everyone else has been doing. This is a 7-game series. It's a 7-game series for a reason. 95% of the time, in a 7-game series, the better team is going to win, which we are. We are the better team. And it's designed that way. That's why the NBA makes it a 7-game series. Yeah, I think in game 2, I'm pretty confident that we're going to win. I want to say this, though. Nate McMillan did give Doc Rivers a coaching lesson for the first 3.5 quarters of the game. Doc Rivers made his adjustments too late, but I don't think that'll happen again. I'm more than confident that we're going to win game 2, and then we'll move on to games 3 and 4 in Atlanta. All right, man. Tuesday night, 76ers for life. I'm thinking we're going to pull it out.
All right, thank you so much for the call. I understand the optimism. I don't know if this show screams the most optimistic in the world, but I am optimistic. I don't know what happened. I think I just randomly hit a nerve and bang, what do you know? I kind of lost it a little bit. You brought up McMillan, though. I think that's a huge storyline entering Tuesday. How is Doc Rivers going to handle the coaching matchup? Because that's huge. I mean, that's going to be the difference in how we feel about this team, because if Doc Rivers gets outcoached again in game 2, McMillan just walks circles around him, runs circles around him, and here's Doc Rivers tied into a knot, and now you're 0-2 when you're heading to Atlanta. I mean, it's going to be a different feel. It's crazy, right? Because halfway through the game, the sky is falling, and this is the worst basketball team we've ever seen. And then by the end of the game, it's, you know what, we're in a good spot. We saw the adjustments made. It just happened too late. If they do that for a majority of the game, they're going to be in a fine position, and they're going to have the outcome that they're looking for. And I don't necessarily disagree with that assessment. It's just the extreme of, what the fuck is this basketball team to? Oh, we'll be okay. This team absolutely sucks cock. Oh, we'll be okay. Right? I mean, it was just like two extremes, and I feel like game 2 is almost going to be somewhat of that same vibe. If you win game 2, it's all right, here we go. We're back in control. We'll be all right. Head to Atlanta, take care of business, and let's move out of this series. Compared to if you lose game 2, oh no, and the percentages are not good, by the way. If you drop your first 2 games at home and then you go on the road down 0-2, you don't have a great percentage statistically to win that series. Now, to each their own, right? I mean, it's not the same scenario every time this situation happens. Being down 0-2 as a 1 seed playing a 5 seed compared to being down 0-2 being whatever. Let's say you're an 8th seed and you're up against the 1 seed. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it does matter if you're a 4 seed or you're a 3rd seed or you're a 6th seed, and it happens. The context does matter involved. But, yeah, you'd be sweating and you'd be a lot more uncomfortable. What you need to do is make Trae Young uncomfortable. It's almost a fireable offense to watch a few things play out, and it was the lack of targeting Trae Young defensively. He's a horrendous defensive player. Horrendous. I mean, arguably one of the worst in the league. He's that bad defensively. Now, he makes up for it for his fantastic offense and the way that he maneuvers around the basketball floor on the offensive side. But to watch him relax with his feet up as if it was a casual Sunday is a joke. Also, that 17-0 run in the second quarter. I mean, it's not as simple as that's what lost you the game. I'm never one thing loses you the game. I'm really never that guy. But it's hard not to analyze that moment. And if you don't see how strong of a push that forced the Atlanta Hawks to go on, dude, are you blind? Are you blind, Doc? I'm almost wondering what went on in your head. What was happening in Doc's head? Was it the monkey banging the cymbals? Are those the cymbals or the... Oh, no, I'm thinking of the triangle. You know, like I always say that with Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson, when he would talk to people and when he would make decisions on the sidelines, he just had that monkey that had the cymbals banging in his head as if nothing was going on upstairs. What was going on upstairs in Doc Rivers' mind when he was watching his bench get abused over and over again?
Hey, Brodes. Love the show. Been listening for a little while. But this is just something I think a lot of Sixers fans in general need to think about. If you watch Trae Young, you know Trae Young, he's very quick and he likes to hunt for fouls. So when you got guys like that like to hunt for fouls, and then in today's NBA when the refs are so whistle happy, especially in the playoffs, you got to be mindful of that, especially if you want to put a guy like Ben Simmons who's physical, who's going to get up in their ass. You got to be mindful of that throughout the longevity of a game. You can't just throw Ben Simmons on him knowing the type of, of style that Trae Young plays. You can't just throw him out there and then the next thing you know, 9 out of 10, Ben is going to end up in foul trouble because that's the way Trae Young plays.
I disagree. See, this is what I would do if I'm the coach. Ben, I need you. You know what Trae does. We're not talking about just a good defender here, right? We're talking about a player that we look at as the best defensive player in the sport of basketball in every position. Ben Simmons, we look at him and praise him like he is the best, and we should feel that way. If I'm Doc, I'm not shying away from that. That's your best weapon. That's like saying, Joel is unbelievable. You need Joel to win. You know what? I don't know if I'm going to play Joel as much as I should because, I don't want him to get into some foul trouble. So we'll just put Joel Embiid on the bench instead of actually playing him. There's no reason to do that. Ben has to realize. Ben has to understand. You need to see the way the game is being called, and you need to do the best possible defending you can do, knowing how the whistles are being called. Some of them are bullshit. Some of them are ticky-tacky. I could live with some. I can't live with others. A lot of these, he's putting himself in the position for the referees to blow the whistle. I'm not going to shy away from what he excels at and what he succeeds at so well to the point where he's the best in the league because of the way the refs are calling it. That's now on Ben Simmons to embrace this, digest the information, digest the referees, and attack from there. I can't let that slide. I just can't.
Obviously, there were a lot of mistakes with that game, but, it was nice to see them close it out at the end. Turnovers are a big killer, but the number one thing that I want to say, and you've said it from the beginning, and I've stood by this, we cannot roll with an all-bench lineup. It's just not going to work, Doc. We got away with it with the Wizards because they saw, as you like to say. But we're in the second round now against a Hawks team that's got some skill. They've got guys that can score. We're not going to get away with it against this team and moving forward. We've got to make that adjustment heading into game 2.
What's crazy about that is we've only been screaming about it for 72 regular season games, right? Everyone knows this. Everyone. Every single individual that knows basketball knows that you can't go 11 deep in a playoff run, in an actual playoff run when you start playing better opponents. Doc, how do you not see this? How do you not know this? How do you not properly understand this? It's pretty simple. It's basketball 101. When you start playing better opponents and when the playoffs come around, it's time to play your top dogs. Stop, he actually put Shake Milton out there in the fourth quarter for 1 minute. Seriously. What? What was that? What was that? It's mind-blowing, the things that Doc Rivers went with there. Mind-blowing. From a coach that is so damn solid and is so respected and should be respected. How does he come up with these type of decisions? And look, I don't want to be the I told you so guy because it's not said and done because I still have faith in this team. I'm not trying to be a I told you so guy. When Doc Rivers was hired, there was this pour of emotion of this is the greatest ever. And it was a very good hire. You saw why. They're number 1 seed. They're in this thing. They have a legitimate chance. With the flaws of Ben Simmons, with the flaws of the bench, with the flaws of other areas of this team, you still have a good chance of winning a championship, which says a lot about the front office changes, the head coaching, the coaching staff as a whole, with all the assistants, everything in play. But he has a very questionable playoff record. But everyone overlooked that. I did it. And I was called the Brett Brown lover, the Doc Rivers hater, this and that. I'm neither. I am neither. I don't give a damn about Brett Brown anymore. And quite frankly, I like Doc Rivers a lot. Whatever he's done here in his tenure, it is what it is. These coaches move on, and it is what it is. They move on. But with Doc Rivers, everyone wanted to overlook that stain because of the name that popped and because he won a championship. And he did win a championship. No one's taking that away. But that was 2008. That was the same year the Phillies won the World Series. If that Phillies World Series means nothing to you because it was so long ago, which it should, Doc Rivers, same conversation. And I'm a big fan of Doc, and I know he's got a lot more in him. He's a smart man. He truly is. He's a very smart basketball mind. That's why it kills me. It's sort of like the Ben Simmons thing. Ben Simmons is such a good player. He's smart. Why do you not see the obvious? Doc Rivers, smart man, very intelligent, been around the block, player and coach, succeeded in both areas. Why do you not see the obvious? All right, let's take one more.
Unbelievable. That's all you can say about that game. Was unbelievable. I mean, I was never really confident that the Sixers were going to come back and win that game, but to even be in that spot at the end was absolutely amazing. Just a game where they dug themselves too deep of a hole. I don't understand what Doc Rivers is doing, putting Danny Green on Trae Young to start the game. But the other thing that was obvious to me is, as great as Trae Young is, this game is going to be determined by their other players. Bogdanovich, Herter, Collins, those guys are going to be open all series. And they have major size advantages over guys like Seth Curry. Unlike Washington, this team can shoot the ball. If they make shots the way they did today, the Sixers are done because they have no answer for Trae Young. And again, it's going to be revolving around the other guys and if they miss or not.
Yeah, it's a good point. It was basically, to kind of go full circle here on ending the show, it was basically what I started the show off with, where Trae will get his. Joel will get his. That's inevitable. Bradley Beal got his 30-plus. Russell Westbrook got his triple-doubles, yada, 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 even though he stinks. When you think about it, these elite stars get their numbers, and then it's about, what else surrounding them helps out, the cause. I just don't think that you're going to – look, Tobias Harris and Danny Green combined together had 1 3-pointer. That's just not going to happen. While the Atlanta Hawks are shooters, and they do let it fly, and they do let it seriously go, they let it rock, man. They do. They shoot that rock. 23s when they average just under 13. It's a significant difference. I think your defense as a whole is going to collectively be smarter. It's going to be more intense. They're going to swarm you more. You're not going to have those same looks with poor rotations and all of that. So with it being a tighter 5-man unit out there on the defensive side of the floor, because that's going to be stressed. That's not going to be something that gets lost in the sauce here on what's going to have to change for this series. Defense, it starts defensively. I'm sure that's number one in the meeting rooms on how they're going to have to add a new layer to this series and to this team. They're going to have to throw more intense defensive looks. So when they do that and they apply that pressure that they've put on many, many teams this year, I don't think you're going to see the 20-plus threes made, the wide-open herders, and things of that nature. But you are right with that, and that kind of brings it full circle. So I want to thank everybody so much for listening to this episode. I can't wait to be at the Wells Fargo Center tomorrow. Super stoked, super excited. Expensive beer, expensive parking, expensive tickets. Hell, why not dive deep into the bank account, huh? Yeah, you got to live a little. Got to enjoy yourself, right? I figured it would be worth it. Take the fiance down and have a good time. All right, thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.